Hello, 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 everyone. JLR Investigates. Come on in. We're talking about Eagle Pass, Texas. There is a protesting group called the Eagle Pass Border Coalition who just spoke about the former president of the United States upcoming visit coming to Eagle Pass. This is the same group that I'm going to show you right here that spoke, is the same group that came out a few weeks back when I was in Eagle Pass. They would walk down the street with masks on and go and protest Governor Greg Abbott's visit. I actually spoke to one of their spokesperson at the time during their protest to try to hear their position, because on JLR Investigates, we all might have positions on things, but we like to hear other people's positions. I want to hear the other side on different issues. I want to hear on both sides. Both sides, I want to hear the issue. So this organization called Eagle Pass Border Coalition, who identifies in their intro, we seek a future in which our community is no longer isolated or voiceless from state or federal decision making that affect our home, where we have an active role in the evolution of our community and preservation of our culture. They speak and they share their thoughts on the federal government, the what's going on in Eagle Pass at Shelby Park. Before they did the protest a few weeks ago when Abbott came down to visit at Shelby Park, they did the same similar thing. They gave a press conference. So it's safe to assume, based off what they've done before, is when later on today, when Donald Trump goes to Shelby Park, protesters will probably be out there, and we're monitoring the situation. But I wanted to play what they had to say today, and this was just less than an hour ago. So we're going to rock with it.
All right. Good morning, everyone, and good morning. Thank you for being here today in lovely Eagle Pass, Texas, where you know it's a focal point around the world. And I'd like to thank each and every one of you. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for being here to hear our story, and thank you for taking the time in your schedule to project our story. So thank you, Press Corps, for being here from wherever you came from. We sincerely appreciate this. My name is Jesse F. Fuentes. On behalf of the Eagle Pass Border Coalition, we'd like to welcome you to this press conference here in Eagle Pass, Texas, today, February 29th, 2024. And we're excited to be here before you. And like I said, thank you. We've got a different array of speakers from Southwest Texas, from this beautiful area, the border, from Del Rio, from Uvalde, from Brackettville, from Eagle Pass. And they're going to convey a message to you that it's very important to listen to and to project out to the rest of the world and our United States of America, because despite the fact that some people might have considered the border as a no man's land, it is still part of America, and we should be heard. And I thank you, like I said, once again, for this opportunity. We're going to start with an invocation by Pastor Julio from the Lutheran San Lucas Church, and we'll start with that. Thank you.
Buenos días a todos, hermanos y hermanas. Vamos a comenzar encomendándonos a Dios, porque como todos sabemos, nuestra nación confía en Dios, porque su lema es en Dios confío, pero que ese lema no solo sea un adorno, sino que realmente sea confiar en Dios y cumplir sus mandatos. Vamos a empezar con el Salmo 113. Aleluya, alaben las obras del Señor, alaben el nombre del Señor, sea bendito el nombre del Señor, desde ahora y para siempre, desde el nacimiento del sol hasta donde se pone, sea alabado el nombre del Señor, excelso sobre todas las naciones es el Señor. tenemos que confiar en Dios, pero tenemos que cumplir lo que Dios nos manda. Primeramente, los mandamientos, el más importante que dijo Jesús es el primero, amar a Dios sobre todas las cosas, pero el segundo es semejante al primero, amarás a tu prójimo como a ti mismo. Pedimos a nuestros hermanos políticos que no vengan a Ego Paz a hacer política del sufrimiento humano, de lo que padece la comunidad, de lo que padecen nuestras comunidades hispanas, que no vengan a hacer nomás propaganda política. Ego Paz no necesita propaganda política. Ego Paz necesita soluciones. Ego Paz necesita apoyo en diferentes circunstancias. Así que pedimos a nuestros hermanos políticos, no vengan nomás a pararse 5 minutos aquí, no vengan a mostrar nuestro dinero, nuestros impuestos, lo que nosotros pagamos en propagandas políticas. Es un llamado para que realmente hagamos lo que tenemos que hacer, ¿verdad? Ser solidarios con los que sufren. Gracias.
Thank you, Pastor Julio. It gives me great pleasure to, like I said, to be here before you, and we're going to have America Garcia hopefully lead us through our situation as far as speakers, and they're going to be talking about diverse situations within the border that needs to be sent out so that everybody is aware of our current situation here on the border, especially in Eagle Pass, Texas. Our first speaker is going to be Gage. Thank you, Gage.
Thank you, Jesse. I prepared something written, but my name is Gage Brown. I'm an organizer with the Border Organization in Kinney County, my hometown, and Uvalde County. And the Border Organization is a nonpartisan organization made up of everyday people who are willing to fight for themselves and for their communities. So I come from Kinney County. It's a beautiful place, my lifelong home, but a place that has been exploited and misrepresented by politicians and so-called public servants who take more interest in playing out their personal fantasies of power than in the lives of the people they are elected to serve. I know this because while the Texas legislature has allocated more than $10 billion to border security efforts over the past 3 years, my community still lacks critical necessities like mental health services, treatment for addiction, access to affordable healthy food, a domestic violence shelter, or at least law enforcement officers with the training to properly respond to domestic violence calls and not dismiss or ignore them. I know a woman who is left lying on the floor waiting for EMS for over an hour because our only ambulance is constantly following crashed high-speed chases. We've also been fighting for 2 years in my community to get a drought contingency plan for our dwindling water supply so that we can have water in the coming years. On top of all this, as a result of the militarization of our border community, I know many friends and neighbors who are sick of being pulled over by police when they're just trying to get to work or go to the store for reasons like a dusty license plate. And my neighbors of all different political leanings agree that the high-speed chases ripping through our town at all hours of the day and night are unnecessary and reckless. Our issues in Kinney County are various, but they all grow from the same source, which is the wide gap between the priorities of everyday people and the priorities of our elected officials. Everyday people in my community need affordable health care. They need jobs with living wages, secure housing, quality public education, and a safe, dignified environment to exist in. These things cost money and attention, the kind of money and attention that is currently being spent on fleets of new police cars, weapons, drones, concertina wire, and endless court cases against people who in many instances are only guilty of seeking refuge and work. Humane, nonpartisan immigration reform is worthy of investment and attention, but this is not what we're seeing now. What we're seeing now is a $10 billion fear campaign, which does more to punish people on both sides of the border than it does to establish border security. The border will be secure when people on both sides of it can make a living where they are and can live in dignity and safety. As people, we have no choice but to take time out of our busy and burdened lives to organize together for the things we want. Because when we let politicians call the shots and define our priorities for us, this is what we get. We must organize and we must define our priorities for these elected officials and not allow them to do it for us.
When I was planning this press conference, they told me, stick to one topic. People can only keep one topic in their head. And I said, no, the American public needs to know about what's going on in our community. And it's more than just the river that runs through it. That said, I'm bringing up Jesse now, who's going to talk about the river that runs through our community. Jesse?
Thank you, America. This is America Garcia. She's I might say, my partner in crime, because together we've taken on a system that's incredibly unjust. And what do you do? What can you do with a renegade governor in a situation where he doesn't believe in following federal law? Yeah, it's an incredible day today in Eagle Pass, Texas, and in Texas in general, because we've never had two presidential candidates coming into the state at the same time and speaking on just diversely different topics. We have our president, Mr. Biden, that's going to speak later on today in Brownsville, and he's trying to enact some legislation through executive orders to try to assist Texas and the border with some policies. And he's meeting with with Border Patrol representatives. And recently he's doing this because of a walk away from a certain political faction that walked away from legislation that would address funding for Border Patrol and for communities along the border. And they walked away from it at the behoove of another political candidate that's also going to be here. But that political candidate, Donald Trump, is going to be in our community today. And it scares me to think that he's also going to have our renegade governor with him, because these two gentlemen are incredibly gifted at the gift of gab. They can tell a story like anybody else. And but the thing is, a lot of the stories that they tell are false narratives, or political theater, or they're trying to grift you for money. What we're witnessing here in Eagle Pass, Texas, is this largest exchange of public tax money being diverted to the private sector, because there's millions, if not billions of dollars that have been spent on these walls, on these wires, on these soldiers. And now they proposed $150 million military base on the border. Now, most people would say that's a huge investment and the community would benefit from it, right? But like Ms. Gage was saying, there's a lot of needs that haven't been addressed. Infrastructure, education, healthcare, the rights of women, gun control, a lot of things that would help make life along the border better. But right now, later on in the day, we're going to have this candidate here, candidate that has 91 criminal charges against it, candidate that, I remember him coming down the escalator and reaching the bottom of that escalator and saying that all Mexicans are rapists, killers, and some of them are good. That has always stayed in my mind. We've got that particular gentleman in an area, in a community that's 95% Mexican American. And right beside him is our governor, who has passed some of the most racial and bigoted laws in this state's history. SB 4 will profile people with brown skin. And I think that includes a big percentage of the people in the state, because Latinos are about 40% of the population of the state. And it's not a law that's coming into effect in the first week of March that just targets the border. No, it targets the state. And what people fail to understand is that that affects all of us. It affects all of us. And this is our governor. And the man that's going to be, both of them are going to be here today. And they're going to be talking, and they're going to be grifting, and they're going to be requesting money. They're going to be telling stories, narratives. The governor is going to raise his hand and say he was responsible for what's happening right now. Well, yeah, Governor, if you're responsible for what's happening right now, how about the last 2.5 years? Did any of that help? Or were you the one that was smuggling people across America? And now you have a smuggling law in Texas that is an automatic 10 years minimum. And then you're going to have another law that gives the authority to local law enforcement to stop you just because of the color of your skin. Is this America? Is this America, Governor? Is this what you're grifting on? Sir, Governor, I ask you, change your ways. Change your ways, because you cannot oppress us. You cannot put us down. You cannot kill our people. You cannot kill our culture. It will come back to bite you. I guarantee you. What you're doing, Governor, is wrong. And Mr. Trump in Eagle Pass, Texas, I never would have thought of it. You know, we are the focal point of the world at this time because of the way we're treating human beings. There's so many journalists that I've spoken to from across the world, and they want to see how America is handling this. And let me be the first to tell you, as a long time resident of this community, that I'm embarrassed that we are treating human beings like cattle, like a herd of cattle in the river, herding them left, herding them right until they fall and they drop and they die. Or putting concertina wire in barrels and waters. It's the most ugliest thing you'll ever see. But that's the tactics. Those are the techniques that our governor is using to deter entry into America. And you know what? None of those have been successful because he's busted hundreds of thousands of people everywhere. He's actually smuggling people into America. He's helping the situation get out of control. And I'm troubled by that because we could be better as Texans, as Americans, as human beings. These are individuals that, through no fault of theirs, are trying to find a better life. You know, we've accepted the reality that there is a global climate event happening. Rivers are running dry. Once fertile areas are arid now. And the involvement of leaders into dictators has been pervasive. And guess what? It's happening in Texas too. We've got a leader who's authoritarian, who's racist, who's a renegade, who's creating a constitutional crisis because he fails to respect federal law. From the very beginning, when he tore up islands in the river, when he installed $1 million buoy system that's sitting in the middle of the river collecting sediment and debris and becoming an island. When he spent millions of dollars putting up concertina wire, and you got to think about it, and this is what I want to relay to you, and this is what I'll close with. You got to think about it. The Texas-Mexico border is 1,254 miles long, and we're at a park that's 2.5 miles wide, Shelby Park. That's our connection to the river. That's our green space. That's where we have our ties with Mexico. And we've got this one governor making a stand at 2.5 miles of 1,254. And this is where he's decided to stage his military. And this is where he says he's going to grow it. And he's already started. He's broke land on this new military complex, which I don't know if he knows it, but it's another violation of the Constitution. All bases are federal. The state doesn't have the right to hold arms or militias together or play something like this, but he's doing it. Once again, creating a constitutional crisis. Governor, Mr. Trump, change your ways, because what you're doing is you're hurting the people that need the most help. Our community, if you were to study the demographics, it's not easy. It's not easy being on the border. And this unwanted attention, this unwanted militarization of our community is unwelcome. You are not welcome here, gentlemen. Despite what the hate that you're gonna spew today, you're not welcome in this community. And you need to change your ways. Those billions of dollars could go into infrastructure, education, healthcare, and making sure that the people on the border are listened to. Because every time that you come here, we have to do this on our own. We have to speak to the press on our own, because you won't invite us, or you won't have a sit down with us. So, Governor, what are you afraid of? I'll have that one-on-one with you. I'll sit down and talk to you, and I'll tell you what we really need in our community. So I'll put it out there for you. Invite me, invite us. Let's have a sit down. Let's talk about it, and let's get some issues resolved. I thank you all for your time. Appreciate it.
En español. Donald Trump es bienvenido en esta frontera.
No,
Okay.
no queremos que venga Donald Trump a este lugar, pero se lo voy a pasar aquí a América, y estoy dispuesto a platicar con ustedes, hermanas, en español, después que termine esta conferencia. Gracias.
Thank you. When I started the border vigil, when we recognized all the needless death here on the border, I kept getting questions about immigration. And I was very fast to say, I'm not an immigration expert. I'm not an immigration expert. But today we have an immigration expert with us. And it's my great pleasure to introduce Carrie Talbot from the Immigration Hub. Carrie?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We're very much appreciative of the efforts of the Eagle Pass Border Coalition here. Thank you so much for inviting us and for educating us about all the ways in which Donald Trump would harm this community, the ways he would wreak havoc on this community, and he has in the past, and he will again in the future if he's elected. We all have to remember what happened under Trump when he was president. Families were separated. The system was horribly damaged, the immigration system. People were separated. It was a nightmare. It was a nightmare here on the border, and all these residents can tell you about that. That it's deeply concerning to think about Trump coming into power again and wreaking havoc. He's partnering with Greg Abbott, who will be here later today. And as they mentioned, they're just really causing so much damage in the community between the concertina wire, between SB4, Operation Lone Star, all of these different efforts to harm the community. They've made it a political football. They're coming here to further politicize the issue and not to really solve it. And it's just clear that they're not interested in what these local residents are saying about their interests. What they're really interested in is making it a political game, not providing not doing what needs to be done, and instead just focusing on it as politics. I think we just have to be really concerned that, former President Trump hasn't said that he's not going to do family separation again. He hasn't said that. So is he going to separate families? What his plans that have been detailed recently include mass deportations, mass detentions, massive infrastructure here along the border, and it's just deeply concerning. So I'm glad to stand here with these residents and really agree with everything they've said and want to support them in their effort to shine a light on what this local community really needs. And what they do not need is President Trump and Greg Abbott coming here and politicizing this issue and not really solving it. So thank you so much to them for having me.
If you look at the speaker list on the agenda, I'm next, and it's 5 minutes is not enough time to tell you everything about Eagle Pass. So I hope you've looked at the census data and you've seen that the average income in Eagle Pass average per capita income is $17,000 a year. Good jobs are hard to find. Good jobs with benefits are hard to find. And if someone's got that job, they're going to hold on tight to it. Well, our tax base does not support our schools entirely, which means the Eagle Pass Independent School District is heavily dependent on the state of Texas for funding. The second largest employer in Eagle Pass is our federal government, Customs and Border Patrol, Homeland Security. And, you know, that's another really good job with benefits, good advancement. You can travel the world if you're working for the U.S. government. So there are some very solid economic incentives not to say anything here in Eagle Pass. Add to that, after 3 years of Operation Lone Star is creating problems that only Operation Lone Star has the money for us to solve. If you go down to the fire station, please say hi to Chief Mello and ask him about what his crew have been dealing with for the last 3 years. They're filing grants with Operation Lone Star to get mental health support for the first responders that we have here in Eagle Pass. Talk to our courts. Where are they getting the money to handle the backlog of cases? They're going to Operation Lone Star. We have a problem that was created to get votes. We have a problem that was created to distract us from the very real issues that our communities are facing. And now that problem is creating real issues that we have to deal with, and we don't have the funding, $17.4 thousand a year per person. We don't have the funding on our own to fix these problems. We don't have the footing to speak up freely and not worry about our jobs. So Eagle Pass got picked on. They came down here in 2021, they put containers on our riverbanks. They put concertina wire on the riverbanks. And a lot of folks didn't say anything. Really strong economic disincentives not to say anything. Time went on and it worked. Votes went up, people got reelected. What they were doing was effective. Hate sold, and it sold lots and lots of views, lots and lots of ads, lots of newspapers. Hate sells like anything. So we didn't say anything about the concertina wire, and now the concertina wire is inside Eagle Pass. It's around our golf course. Raise your hand if you've seen another golf course in Texas that has concertina wire around it. Yeah, that's us. What happened to us here in Eagle Pass is going to happen across the United States if we don't stop it. I love Eagle Pass, and I hate that we're being made an example of. But if we're being made an example of, I want you to tell the world that what's happening here is going to happen across the entire United States if we don't say no to hate. We must say hate has no home here. Otherwise, it's just going to get worse. When people tell you who they are, believe them. If they say I'm going to be a dictator on day one, believe them. If they say I'm going to put detention camps up and down the Rio Grande, believe them. And in November, vote for your beliefs. Vote for this wonderful country that we have. Please don't vote for hate. I'm going to yield the mic now to Karen Gonzalez with the border organization. She's in Valverde County.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Karen Gonzalez, and I'm an organizer for the Border Organization in Del Rio, Texas. The Border Organization trains community members to address the unique challenges faced by border communities. We focus on infrastructure, living wage, affordable home, education, and healthcare, all of which is affected by the gross misuse of money the state of Texas has spent on Operation Lone Star. Since March 2021, it has drained more than $5 billion, costing taxpayers millions a week. Why not invest that into our communities, our teachers, our veterans, our homeless, healthcare, school safety? The list goes on and on. There are plenty of colonias in this state still in need of water, a basic human right, but yet we're too busy infringing on others' human right to seek asylum. We all know that this is a political showdown of state versus federal government, and instead of helping our border communities, you are crippling them. You even heard some elected officials and potential presidential candidates say, close the border. Do they not understand how much this would cost? Not only the United States in trade, but our border communities. US and Mexican citizens cross daily to work, shop, buy cheaper medicine, or attend school. They don't even know what it's like to live in a border community, and yet they want to come in and make these decisions that affect our daily lives. The immigration debate in the US is never ending. No operation is going to deter them from coming. Back in 2021, in my community, we had over 14,000 Haitians under our international bridge. And Eagle Pass just recently had a huge influx in December. Our governor may have set up millions in razor wire, but our border is far and wide, and they will look for another route. Are we just going to keep throwing money at this every time that better route is found? Because the system in place is clearly not working. We need to invest in humane solutions to keep both US citizens and immigrants safe. Immigrants have made invaluable contributions to American society and our economy. Common sense, bipartisan immigration reform should strengthen our economy, protect the rule of law, and make our borders more secure. Not what the governor is doing, not what the president allows to happen, in no way represents the people in our organization. We're so locked into our political identities that there is virtually no candidate, no information that can force us to change our minds. We will justify almost anything or anyone so long as it helps our side. And the result is a politics without guardrails, standard persuasion, or accountability. According to Abraham Lincoln, democracy is the government of the people, for the people, and by the people. When you stop representing the many to represent the few, you are jeopardizing our democracy.
Thank you, Karen. I had hoped that traffic and getting here would be easier because I really wanted to have Deborah from Uvalde go first. We have some very real issues and our attention span is short. But on May 24th, 2022, one of the worst tragedies occurred in this part of the country. And my sister's classmate, Eva Mesas, was shot in her classroom at Robb Elementary. Eva Mesas is from Eagle Pass. She went to elementary school, junior high, and high school with my sister, the same schools I went to. We want to make sure that her memory is not forgotten. And we want to make sure that Uvalde is not forgotten because gun safety is still a very real issue for the entire United States. So it's my pleasure to welcome Deborah.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Deborah Bond with Karma out of Uvalde. I actually don't live there, but I became an honorary citizen on May 25th, I believe, after the Uvalde massacre that we all know about. After that, we saw division and things like that between our own brown people. And we kind of came up with we wrote something together, Adam Martinez and I. So not long ago, our ancestors stood here in the same place talking about the same thing, immigration. But it was Texas, Mexico, and the immigrants were white people trying to improve their lives. Did we turn them away or throw them in cages? No, we gave them a handout and welcomed them with open arms. We all know what happened after that. So we can't pretend that these politicians want what's best for us. They create these problems so that they can have something to talk about to us, something to divide us. So people like you and I, we can run to them for help. They tell lie after lie, but we have to see through all of it. So at this time, thousands have come over and they're just trying to improve their situations. We use their labor. We use them for jobs to pay them less. The people that are coming over the border, these human beings. Excuse me. And, there have been a few bad ones that the right would like to point out and then criminalize all of the people coming across the border. And just as everybody else said before me, and I'm sorry I got here late, but we do need to stop the hate. We need to stop the division. And what's going on is just political theater. And the people of Eagle Pass, the people of Uvalde, do not want this kind of this state where people can put up concertina wire and people are fighting amongst themselves. Mexicans and the Mexican Americans. And well, that's about all I have to say. And I'm from Carmel, Uvalde. Thank you. Here's Pastor Leyva.
Good morning and glad that you're here. As we conclude this press conference, I just ask that God will be the one that guides us through the Holy Spirit, because He knows best, and we need to trust, like Pastor Julio said, we trust in God, and we believe in God. So as we go through these situations, and again, not only here in Eagle Pass, you'll be throughout. Let us remember that Jesus, the incarnated God, is among us, and He is with you. You are the incarnated Jesus. You are the hands and the feet and the voice of God. Whether they realize that or not, that's what we are. We are here to be God's witnesses and show God's love in the midst of the chaos, in the midst of the mess up situations. But God is still in control. And I believe that 100%. So let us pray. Oremos. Bendito Padre, te damos gracias, oh Dios, por este día. Que tú, oh Dios, eres el creador de todo. Y tú conoces nuestros corazones. Tú conoces nuestros pensamientos. Y tú conoces nuestros propósitos. Señor, este día lo ponemos en tus manos para que tú, oh Dios, obres de acuerdo a tu voluntad. Heavenly Father, you are the Creator. You know our thoughts. You know, Father, our intentions. And we place them this day, Lord, in your hands. And we pray that you touch the hearts that need to be touched, that need to be changed. Because we trust in you. And this is a place where you are in. The need is great. And you have heard what has been said. But Father, we pray that through your Holy Spirit, that you will discern our spirit to do your will and not ours. So gracias, oh Dios, nuevamente por tu amor y misericordia y porque estás con nosotros. En el nombre poderoso de Jesucristo. Amén y amén.
Thank you. I know that some people need to leave to go check in, so now would be a good time to pack up and go. But if you want to stay, we will take questions from the floor at this point in time. Please tell us which outlet you're with and also who it is you'd like to ask a question of.
ASAT 12, Jesse. Do you think there's any
Sorry, I muted myself. Sorry. Put myself on mute so you guys wouldn't listen to me drink my wonderful coffee. Okay, so that was from the Border Coalition. It's always good to hear from other sides of the situation, ladies and gentlemen. They are a local group. They were there when I was down there before covering Greg Abbott's visit. Saw them. They're a local group. They know about their area, and they shared their thoughts and shared their feelings about the situation. They're not happy with Governor Abbott. They're not happy with Donald Trump. Don't know what their feelings are towards Joe Biden, but it seems like they, don't want that wire there. They feel like the money for Operation Lone Star, SB4, the bill, they're not happy with SB4. The money could be used for other needs in Texas: healthcare, affordable housing, water, nutrition. I heard the word nutrition. What's your thoughts on, the individuals there speaking and their message? Do you think they have a point on anything? Do you think they're right on anything, or you think they're all 100% wrong? We love to hear from all sides on JLR Investigates. I think that's fair to do when we're covering the border crisis. As you know, when I am covering the border, I love to speak to all people with all positions of the issue. I might have my own opinion about the situation, and I feel like the border should be secure. That's my opinion. However, I like to hear from other people with different opinions when it comes to the matter. And so that was, them sharing. Will they protest today? I think there's going to be protesters out there. Let's just pray and hope everyone is safe out there. Everyone, out there, you have a right to freely express yourself, that say no to no violence or anything like that. Who knows what's going to happen, but and then who knows what Donald Trump will say today, and who knows what Greg Abbott and whoever else is there, what they're going to say today. Is there going to be an expansion? Now, let me tell you something. SB 4 got blocked today by a federal judge in Austin. Just blocked a law that was supposed to take effect last week. So now it's going through the courts, but that was expected. That was expected, right? That was expected, but we'll see what happens there. Texas wanted to start arresting people, and, misdemeanor first time, felony second time, deportation back to the border, but a federal judge is talking about the judge was trying to say the United States as a whole would suffer harm. So he stopped it for now, and it's going to go through the court process. And I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know what's going to happen with that. It's probably going to be a lengthy battle, and it'll probably be most likely all the way up to the United States Supreme Court over time. So that's what's going on in Eagle Pass. When Trump speaks, I'll share. When Biden speaks, I'll share. And if anything else comes out of Texas, the border, this is kind of unique today. It's kind of history when you have two, presidential candidates. One president, one is the candidate, the leading candidate, at the border at the same time. Has that ever happened before in the history of the United States? People are saying no. So we'll see who says what today. And then also there's talk about Biden doing some executive orders. Like they said, there is some talk, and I'm seeing it, that he might create some sort of executive orders. As I don't know what he can do. I don't know, if his party, the people behind him in his party will approve of that, or if he's just going to go rogue Biden. We'll see. We'll see what happens and see what he says today, and we'll see what Trump says, and we'll share it all on this channel. So I am JLR Investigates. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification button. Let me know what you think in the comments. We had a lot of good crowd in here today, and everyone be safe. And we are covering the border 24/7, 365. One JLR Investigates. Check out the playlist too. Thanks for everyone for commenting. We will talk soon. Have a great day, everyone. Be safe.